If you consider that as software developers, what we essentially do is capture data and move it around for people. Something like Azure Data Factory might save you a lot of time. It might make your life a lot easier. So I'm just going to jump straight into it, and hopefully it'll work, because I'm going to create it all from scratch. So I'm in Azure, and the first thing I'm going to do is just create a new resource. Azure Data Factory. Right. So, has anyone ever used Data Factory before? One person. Which version did you use?
Which version?
Yeah, well, I'm going to talk about version 2. If you used version 1, then I feel sorry for you, because it's really bad.
I work for Microsoft, so.
All right, okay. So, version 1 had left a lot to be desired, in my opinion. Version 2 is very good. So once you've created your resource, you just click Author and Monitor, and it takes us into this nice web IDE environment thing. The first thing I'm going to do is configure a Git Repository. This is one of the really nice features of Data Factory. So right now it supports VSTS. It's going to support GitHub in the future, and I imagine maybe more providers after that. And what this means is that all the changes and all the things that I'm going to create today in the next 10 minutes, they're going to be committed to source control straight away. So even though I'm using this really nice UI, I'm using this really nice web UI. I don't have to download anything, but it's still persisted, so I can collaborate with my teammates and stuff. It's all backed up for me. So the hypothetical scenario that we're going to use today is I'm working for a semi-large organisation, and a non-technical stakeholder has asked me to create a regular CSV export of data because we've got this database, but he doesn't want to have to use SQL to see it. Right, so I could go away and spend a day creating a CSV download area of the admin portal, or I could spend 10 minutes creating a data factory that pumps it straight onto his machine. And that's what we're going to do today. It's pretty simple. The first thing we need to do is, when it loads, we're going to create an integrated runtime. And one of the important things to take away from this is that the data factory itself doesn't do any of the computation. Azure does the computation for you. If you're moving data between cloud services, then those cloud services do the computation. If you're moving data from on-premises stores, then it's that service that will do the computation. But one thing we can do is tell Azure to do this in a certain region. So just to demonstrate, I want Azure to do all my runtime stuff in the UK South for whatever reason. It might be legal reasons, it might be limitations of the platform. But everything I do is going to be running UK South Data Center. The next thing I'm going to do is create 2 linked services, and a linked service is just a pointer to a data store. So it stores the credentials, and after that we don't have to worry about the credentials. So we're going to create a SQL database. I'm going to call this database UK South. And I'm going to select it straight from my Azure subscription. .NET Sheff. And just enter the creds. Shit, don't want to do that. Right. Test that connection. So there we go, we've connected to the database successfully. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a connection to a file share that I've created already in Azure Storage. So in this hypothetical scenario, my non-technical stakeholder has this file share mounted on his computer already. So when this CSV is exported, he'll have it straight away. So I'm going to call that file share. Again, UK South. I'm just going to get these creds out of here. Now, I did mention before that this is all stored in source control, but one nice thing that Data Factory does is it emits passwords from that, so you won't get any sensitive information in there. So that's created. Now the next step for me is to create a few data sets, and a data set is it's a pointer to a set of data. Like, for example, an SQL table inside the SQL database, which I've just created a linked service for. So I could have 3 or 4 SQL data sets pointing at the same linked service using the same credentials, but they're pointing to different tables on the database. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create this one. I'll call it orders. Now see here, all I do is select my database linked service, and then I just, not that one. I just pick my table and that's it. We can import the schema. And there you go, we've got 5 columns, they're all badly named because some rubbish developer named them 3 years ago, but we can sort that out later. I'm going to create another data set. This data set is going to point to a CSV file in table storage as file share. So we'll call this CSV file. But one thing we don't want to do is overwrite any CSVs from previous runs. So this is where we can make use of dynamic content in Data Factory. So if I click onto the file name field here and click Add Dynamic Content, I can sort of use this domain-specific language here to create dynamic content. Like, for example, name the CSV file after the ID of the run, the pipeline run. So it's dynamically generated and it won't overwrite any previous exports. So I'm just going to call this one, I don't know if you can all see that. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's just going to get the current date, change it to a nice format, add the run ID after it, input.csv on the end. So we've got a data set pointing to a CSV file which will be unique on every pipeline run. Not that one. I don't know why it's doing that. Oh well. Now in the schema section, obviously for a non-existent CSV file, we don't have a schema, so I'm just going to create it. And here I'm going to give him the columns, nice names. Customer ID, status, date created, date completed. So I can set the type for these columns. These are date times. These are integers. And that's done. I'm going to create one more data set. This data set is going to get the value of the first row in a table called the Watermark table. And at the end of the pipeline run, we're going to update the Watermark value to the current date. And all that means is that when we are getting the data that we're going to export, we can make sure we're not getting data that we've already exported in past runs. So, again, we're going to point to an SQL table. I'm going to call this one Watermark, badly spelt. And there we go, point to the Watermark table. We'll import the schema. It's got one column called value, so that's fine. Now this is the nice bit, we're going to create the pipeline. A pipeline is a logical collection of activities, and you group together multiple activities, you can chain them together, and the activities do the heavy lifting. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to create a lookup. We're going to call it get watermark, and as the name suggests, it's going to look up the value of the watermark, and then we can pass that on to the next activity in the pipeline. So the source data set being the watermark table. We're just going to get the whole table, but we're going to keep the first row only, and that's that one done. The next step in the pipeline is to, I'll call it SQL to CSV. We're going to copy the data from SQL into a CSV file. That's what we're here to do. So this time the source data set is orders, but instead of getting the whole table, which that would do, I'm going to use this query here. And this query has dynamic content in it, just like we used previously. So select all from the order table where DCO, or date created, is greater than the first row value from the last activity. It's pretty simple. That's the source data set. The sink is the destination data set, and we're going to pump it out to a CSV file. Everything else is fine. And here we import the schemas to create a mapping, and they're all in order, so it's mapped. It's figured out nicely for us, like CID is customer ID, and it's going to include them all, so it maps it all nicely. So that's that done, and all we're going to do here is drag that along there. And then as a sort of cleanup phase, we're going to do two things. The first thing is we're going to instigate this stored procedure, which I'll call update watermark. So that's a stored procedure that's on the SQL database that just updates the watermark value to the current date. There we go, set watermark, that's that one done. And then I'm also going to make a HTTP request, and I'll call this one notify Slack. So this is one of the really cool things about Data Factory. You can create HTTP requests and then use the value of the response or not, and that basically allows you to do anything. You know, HTTP is the language of the internet, so you can do anything that you can in a browser. And one of the really nice things that you can do with that is you can trigger another pipeline at the end of your current pipeline, which is why they made it. It's really powerful. So I'm just going to make a post request to this webhook here. And this is a body that I've prepared. And again, in this body you can add dynamic content. You could even insert the CSV file we've just created as an attachment to this notification. But I'm not going to do that right now. So that's that done. Fingers crossed it'll work. If we validate it, everything's fine. So I'm just going to hit debug. That's it, it's starting the run. So down here is our output window. It's going to refresh in maybe 20 seconds. There are only 5 rows in this database, so it's not going to take long. But one of the things that makes this really powerful is you pay for what you use, and it can scale up to work for whatever you need it to. So you can make it work on really massive data sets if you need to. Which is one of the reasons why this might be a more suitable solution, even if it's just a one-off activity that you're doing, because this can do it probably better than you can, you know, by command line or whatever. So as you can see, it's got the watermark value. It's actually created the CSV file already, and right now it's updating the watermark and it's notifying Slack. Let's refresh that. So there we go, it's done. You'll notice that the Slack notification step failed, and that's because when you notify Slack, it doesn't return a JSON or something. But the activity itself wants a JSON object response. I don't care if it failed, because I know that the Slack notification got sent. So if you all go into .NET Sheff Slack later, you can see that you've all got a notification telling you that it's been done. And I was going to mount this file share myself, but Chef Hallam's Wi-Fi is blocking me from doing that, annoyingly. But if we go over here and go to the file share manually, that's the wrong file share. Oh well. Blah blah blah. Let's have a look. There it is. That's the CSV file which I just exported, and there are 3 rows in there. So that's that done. So we confirmed that it works. We confirmed that we're getting Slack notifications. So now what we might want to do, for example, is create a trigger on it. So I can say every Monday, and I'll say weekly, Monday at 8 AM. And that should work. So that's going to run every Monday at 8 AM now. And the last thing to do is to publish it. And if we come into the .NET Chef project in VSTS and go into .NET Chef, this is the data factory which we just created. So under the hood, data factory is just a bunch of JSON files. It's just storing configuration, and there's not much to look at really. It's just what we typed in. But that's that done. Cool. That's it from me.